Alright, here's the deal. I know it's been a long ass time, but my camera died and I really never got around to charging it. That's how lazy I am. It's kind of late, so I should kind of quiet my voice a little bit. But I decided that I wanted to film again. And since I could think of nothing else to film, this is gonna be personal. I'm sorry, leave now if you have a problem. This is gonna be my cutting story. Most people who are gonna watch this are from my school or family or whatever, so you probably already know that I do it. Because I really make no effort to hide my scars or my cuts, because my struggle's my struggle and it's there. There's no point hiding it. But I don't even really know how to get into this, but I guess let's work backwards a little bit. First I'm going to start out with showing you my newest cuts. They're almost healed. I don't even know if you can see that. Can you see that? That one's the worst one. Ow. It itches really bad. It's kind of infected. And then I have a couple up there. I have scars all down my thighs, and I have these ones which I don't even really know how to show you. You can kind of see them if I do like that, but they're in such an awkward position that here, can you see them now? Here, I can see them. Those ones are probably the ones that you guys have seen. But okay, so scars. I landed in a inpatient mental hospital on the 18th of November. No, 13th. Got out on the 18th. I was there for suicidal thoughts, plan, and the cutting, of course. And now let's start at the end. So that's where this landed me. Let's see how it started. Flashback. In 3rd grade, there were rumors that I was a lesbian because I experimented like all humans do. So that kind of took a toll on me. And then I moved schools because of that rumor and ended up in a charter academy. Which was a really bad idea on my mother's part. She's like, oh, they have a 0 tolerance for bullying. Yeah, bullshit. 4th grade, I remember day 1, I was in this super cute silk pink top with this jean skirt. I thought I was the bomb, okay? And there was a really popular kid sitting next to me. Popular as you can get in 4th grade. And another kid turned his head towards me and was like, look, you're sitting by the new girl. And I knew it was going to be bad from that point on. There was a kid named Valdemar. Of all things, Valdemar. You know, Voldemort, Valdemar, ha ha ha. Anyway, he kind of made my life a living hell. I never really figured out who made this up, but I'm pretty sure it was part of him. If any of you guys have read The Diary of a Wimpy Kid and know about the cheese touch, I was the cheese. Cheese touches, or Rachel germs as they called it. Oh my god. Ugh, it still hurts to this day. To this day, the word Rachel germs still I really need to let some of this stuff go. That's one thing that I'm working on. Anyway, so Rachel germs was this thing where I would touch somebody, or I would touch one of their things or something like that. I have this really annoying piece of skin on my lip. And there we go. And so I would touch something of theirs, I would touch them, something like that. And then they would be infected with Rachel germs. And then they would have to touch somebody else and they're clean. They're good, they're clean. But now that person's infected. So it kept going and going and going and going. And around 5th grade, after Valdemar had moved, I kind of made it into a game, tried to make it seem like it didn't hurt me and tried to make it into a game. So I kind of like, I remember one time I went to like touch this kid and he like leaned up against the lockers like, no, don't touch me. So I mean, I would laugh at that, and I kind of made it into like a tag game. Yeah, that didn't work very well. I mean, it helped me for a little bit, but I don't know, I think it just antagonized the other people more. But hang on, let me get this down a little bit, because I talk with my hands a lot and y'all can't see that. So 4th grade was pretty bad. 5th grade rolled around, my boyfriend moved. So then I really felt alone because he was like the only one who would talk to me. So I really started to feel alone and stuff like that. I didn't really have anybody at all. 0 people. And 6th grade came around, and the school that I was going to was K through 8, so I didn't move. I just got a locker. That was about it. It's the only difference. And my mom had to stand up for me at orientation, of all things, because there was locker drama, of all things. I had gotten the locker closest to my first hour so that I could just kind of get my stuff and sneak in the room. And there was this girl, I was like, oh my god, Rachel took your locker. And I'm like, no, I didn't, because if I would have took your locker, it would have been written down and I wouldn't be able to get it. Okay? Calm your nuts. But that didn't happen, and so Mom was like, I'm sorry, is there some like issue of where my daughter chooses to have her locker? And it was kind of funny because she kind of chewed out those girls. But so that happened. And then I remember I was sitting alone at recess one day, kind of in the corner by the gate, because it was like in downtown, the school was, and so I was like, and I had my hood up, and I was just kind of sitting there, just in my own world, doing what a depressed teenager does. And the 4 most popular 8th graders came up to me: Claudio, Ernesto, Cordell, and Brendan. Brendan kind of wasn't ever around, but those 3, the 3 Mexicans, those 4 walked up to me, and they're like, can we sit here? I remember this moment so clearly. It's like, can we sit here? And I'm like, sure, do whatever you want. Because I couldn't, like, tell them no. Come on, they're the 4 boys. And so they sit all around me, stuff like that. And they're like, oh, why aren't you sitting on that bench over there? And, like, the 7th graders at the time kind of all, like, teamed together. And I was like, oh, because they'll mess with me. And they're like, let's go over there. They won't mess with you if we're over there. I was like, whatever. And so we go over there, and they sit down, and I sit down on the bench, and, like, they follow me, and so, like, everybody's eyes are on me. It's crazy. And, like, it was so weird. Like, I felt like it was going in slow motion because, like, everybody was looking at us. So we sit down, and everybody's like, what the hell's happening? Why are they with her? And then they kind of ended up like my bodyguards. Like, if anybody ever did anything, I told them, or... Like, I remember one day I was trying to talk to my friend Bailey. There was this girl named Jantel, and Claudio and Ernesto were outside, and I was like, hey Bailey, and Jantel's like, shut up Rachel, shut up. And every time I would open my mouth, she'd go, shut up Rachel. And so I storm out of the building like I'm so fucking pissed off. And I plopped down next to Cordell, and Claudio's like, what's going on? Like, it had like this worried mother look. And I tell him what had happened, and when Jantel goes out to hitch a ride, he's like, don't talk to Rachel like that. And I was like, alright, cool. They're nice to me. They protect me, whatever. And then, that's 6th grade is when I really started cutting. I had a friend who told me that she did it, that it really helped her, and I was like, oh, I wonder what it would do for me. And so I kind of like started just like scraping the skin off of my knees with my shaving razor, because I knew that you can nick your knees really easily with those. And then I remember one time I got a lot of blood, and it helped a lot. I know you, if you're not a cutter, you're like, what the fuck? That's crazy. It's not crazy. I will get to the science part of it in a second. Just wait. And then I kind of moved on from that to staples. I would kind of like break staples apart and stuff, and I would scratch myself with those, but those didn't really work because they weren't very sharp. They just cut. I mean, they like scratched, I guess. And then so I had like a little envelope of those, And my counselor caught me, and then so she had to go tell my mom. And then my mom, I remember I had done research on the computer about depression because I thought I was depressed. And I was like, oh my god, this is totally me. And so I showed my mom it. I was like, you probably think I'm crazy, but I think I have depression. And she's like, no, honey, I take these things very seriously because if you wake up one day and it slit your wrists, I would feel horrible. And I had cuts on my arms from a razor blade that I had snuck out of the kitchen. I came back to my room crying, talking to my cat about what to do. I was pacing my room. I was like, I have to tell her, I have to tell her, I have to tell her, I have to tell her. And I walked out there, says, Mom, I have something to show you, and pulled up my sleeve. And they were just kind of scratches, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. She's like, just don't do it again. I remember I would sit in my closet and cut and cut and cut. And one day I got really, really, really deep. Like, it got tetanus and wouldn't heal, and it was green, like the scab was green. It was really gross, and I didn't want to tell my mom because I didn't want to have to go to the hospital. But it ended up that I did because it really started to sting and it hurt really, really bad. So I went and told my mom, and then the next day she took me to the ER and I got a tetanus shot. And then I stopped because it scared the shit out of me. So by the end of 6th grade, I was good. 7th grade was good. I had moved schools again. I had moved to Grand Haven, where I am now. And I was like, alright, things are going good. I'm chill. And I had like one problem with bullying because I was in love with this boy, and it was really stupid looking back on it. But he never returned my affection, but he was a friend of mine. So everybody's like, oh my god, you're so obsessed with him. I'm like, no, I'm not obsessed. I'm in love. There's a difference. My neck won't crack, and it's really bugging me. Anyway. And so I kept telling people that shit, and then, so that was really the only 7th grade problem. But then 8th grade rolled around, and guess what? There was another boy. But this boy was much, much more cruel than Sam. I don't want to say his name because he might see this and then he might feel bad. No, actually he won't. His name was Cody Hall. And I really liked him for some odd reason. And I remember I had this hat that was like an elephant. And it had gold mittens on the bottom and stuff like that. And he loved that hat. And I would bring it in the wintertime, and we had German together. At one point, I think he sat behind me, and I remember one time he had stolen my favorite pen. And he ran out of the room with it. And his friends go, oh, look, Rachel, he left his favorite sweater. And I was like, oh, I can totally get back at him. So I put his sweater on and walked out in the hallway, and he's walking towards me for some reason, and I was like, hey, you look familiar? He just walks past me and turns around a few steps later. Keep it, he says. Okay. I'll keep it for a couple days and give it back to him. I never slept with it or anything like that, but it hung on my bed, and I was never that weird that I would sleep with a sweater. I sleep with my boyfriend's sweater. That is a difference. Anyway. So I wash it, I give it back to him. Wash it dry, give it back to him. And I was like, here you go, Cody. First day on Monday. He goes, set it on my desk. I'm like, okay. I set it on his desk. He takes a tissue from the tissue box on the teacher's desk, picks it up with 2 fingers like it's contaminated. Rachel germs, anybody? And throws it away. Was his favorite sweater. He throws it away. That night I cut for the first time in a year. Because not only did I like him, but he brought back one of the most painful memories ever. Please don't cry, please don't cry. He brought back one of my most painful memories. And he could have very easily, if he really felt the need to throw it away, he could have stuck it in his locker and brought it home and done it there. There was no need to do it right in front of me. And so I started cutting on my thighs. And one of my friends saw, and she told my counselor, and they had to call my mom again. And I started seeing counselors again outside of school. And I bounced around counselors all the time because I was getting really, really bad again. And later in 8th grade, I found One Direction. And it was before they had hit America. Found them January 5th of 2011. And I remember I had the littlest magazine clippings I could find from this off-brand magazine. They were covering my closet door. And I came home one day. I don't even remember what had happened, but something horrible had happened. And I sit down on the ground and I'm screaming and crying and hyperventilating because I can't stop sobbing. And I think this isn't worth it. If this is all my life is ever going to be, why the hell should I live? And I look over at that door to see if I could hang myself on my closet, but instead I see my posters. And I think, no, I can't do it. And so I covered everything that I owned in that reminder. But everybody at school saw it as something different. And so, guess what? I was bullied. And I cut, and I was bullied, and I cut, and I was bullied, and I cut. It's a horrible cycle. Oh, Jesus Christ. And so, freshman year came around. I was doing okay. I hid it from everybody, really. I mean, my One Direction obsession went down, so I didn't really have too many suicidal thoughts anymore. But I had one boyfriend for a week, first couple weeks of high school. Yeah, that ended horribly. And then I had Spencer. And he was okay, but, I mean, he hurt me pretty bad at the end. And then Graham. Well, John. John didn't help much either, but that's okay. He's helping a lot now, and that's all that matters. He's apologized, and we're okay now. But, I mean, now it's just kind of turned into an addiction where I don't really know what else to do, because anytime I'm stressed out or whatever, I cut. I don't know what else to do. And that's part of the reason why I went to Pine Rest, is because I didn't know what else to do. I had no coping skills. All I ever did was, okay, you're yelling at me, leave me alone so I can go to the bathroom and cut my wrists open. That's all I ever knew. Because I felt like, sorry, I've been sick. Like, I felt like the pain and the anger and the built up stress of being yelled at or having schoolwork or being broken up with would flow out with blood. So that's all I ever really knew what to do. And I don't know what happened, but I started to have suicidal thoughts again this year. I was looking up how to overdose because all the people in my family have disorders, so I could very easily overdose on medication. Somebody in my class saw it and told my teacher, and I told my teacher I'm going to go to my counselor tomorrow, don't worry about it. And then my counselor sent me to Pine Rest. So I'm doing okay now, but like even just talking about this, my arm is starting to do this thing where it'll ache. Like there's a lot of pressure underneath it, and then once I cut it open, it's fine. But I think I'll be alright, but relapse is part of healing. So if I relapse, it's okay. But I have to be able to stop. There's one system that I would recommend to a lot of the cutters out there. I'll put links below on how to do the origami for it, but you take a box and you put a yellow origami star in the box every day you go without cutting. And if you cut, you still put a star in the box, but you color it black. Right now I have 6 yellow stars and no black stars. So I'm doing good. I'm 6 days clean, but let's hope I can make it further. If you made it through this video, thank you very much. If you're someone at my school, leave me the hell alone. Don't talk about it. Just hug me if you see me be sad. That's all I need. Alright, I love you all. If you're a cutter out there and you saw this, you can get better. You can get better. It just takes time and it takes dedication. I love you all. Goodbye.